Hey everybody, welcome back. This video is um, hopefully going to be quite useful for you all. Now, one of the things that traditionally plagues cloud users and students in this class and in multiple classes where I use Google Cloud is the fact that your credits tend to drain rather quickly when you are using it. And that's kind of expected because everything you do in the cloud costs money, right? But when you go to your billing statement, you're not really sure what's going on or what's happening because the level of detail just isn't there at the high level view. Now, one of the things that Google typically recommends when I talk to them about billing stuff is to have you all enable cloud billing export to BigQuery. Now, BigQuery is something we'll get to later in the semester, but basically it is their big data engine for analyzing data sets, and it's SQL-ish. Again, we'll get there, but right now we're going to get things set up to export to that. So if you, and to kind of give you a feeling for what's going to happen, at some point, I can guarantee that probably every single one of you, by nature of being in this class, are going to run out of credits. And you're going to log in and you can't access your projects or your services are shut down, and then it becomes a problem of, hey, we need more credits to keep things going, right? And once you get those credits back, you want to figure out what drained your account. And the forewarning is that either you forgot to shut something off or you're running Cloud Spanner, which tends to just drain people's accounts immediately for some reason. But what we're going to be doing here today is, let me flop over to the other screen, is to run through this guide for setting up the export to BigQuery. Now, I will probably in parallel have you do this quick lab for analyzing the billing data so that you can get a feel for it. But the issue, if I just gave you this, it would be in kind of a sandboxed environment where you're not doing it for your own account. You're doing it for the fake environment in Quick Labs here. Sorry, Cloud Skills Boost. They renamed it. So what we're going to do is get this up and running. Now, there is a little caveat here. This process can take up to 48 hours to reflect, and that's actually what happened with me. So you run through this guide and nothing happens for a solid 2 days. Basically, you're waiting for your BigQuery, or sorry, your Bigtable tables to get filled with account data because it doesn't export immediately. So just kind of keep that in mind. We're going to run through this little guide here, get things set up, and then it's going to fail, and that is expected. Okay, come back in a couple of days and try running the queries again, and then you will start seeing information. I already have this set up on my account, so I'm going to basically do the process with you here, and then I'm going to change over to the account that I know has data in it. I don't know, I did air quotes because it actually does have data in it, but just kind of keep in mind as we go through this, it will take time for yours to work. And if it doesn't after a couple days, then I would go back and see if you missed a step. So I'm going to, let's make this a touch wider here. Actually, let's not because I liked that bigger. Um, Again, and I'll have the link in the description below for you to go right to this as well as in Blackboard. But what we're going to be doing is creating a brand new project in Google Cloud to kind of trap all of your billing data, and we're going to set export for that. Now, you don't have to do every single step in here. There is a part where it asks you if you want to project costs. So like if I wanted to enable a service, it would give me the projected billing data. And that's not something that I particularly care about myself. So we're going to skip that step. You can play around with that if you want, but I'm not going to be enabling that. Other things in here too, so it walks you through the permissions. So this is basically if you are part of a bigger organization and you have subordinates or teammates or whatever who are working through permissions in here. You need this role, you need that role, you need this role, these permissions, that kind of thing. You're already an admin on everything, so we don't have to worry about this step. But if you are going a little bit more fine-grained in your privacy settings, this is something you would absolutely need to set up. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do in Google Cloud over here is to create a new project. And I already have one called Cloud Billing, so I'm going to call this Cloud Billing 2. Just name yours Cloud Billing. It should be tied to the billing account that you have for credits for this class, which is probably named billing account for education, which is really annoying because everybody's is named the same thing. So I'm going to go ahead and create that. It will spin up in a few moments. And then we are going to select the project. Billing will be enabled by nature of it being tied to that account. And so here's my Cloud Billing 2. I will select. It is now active. Again, billing will be enabled. And now we're actually going to go ahead and enable this service. So if I click this button, we go to the API page for this particular account. Actually, let me bring it over here. So we are still in the correct project. We're going to enable this API, which you will be doing this over and over and over again as we try out new services for your various projects. Okay, we are enabled, and now we are going to create the BigQuery dataset. So we are all set here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to copy and paste the links just so that I don't have to be dragging tabs around. But we go over to the BigQuery page, which again, you can access however you want. And now I'm going to go to my project dropdown list, which is this guy here. So we see Cloud Billing 2. So that's your project name. We're going to expand it. All right. And what we're going to do is click the three dots here, create dataset. Okay. Now I'm going to call this all. Oh, no, sorry, that's the project ID. All Cloud Billing. Letters, numbers, and underscores allowed. Not dashes, underscores. Okay, so we have our data set ID. That is good. Data location is going to be nearest to us. So we are US East. I'm going to pick the low CO2 region, hopefully for environmental friendliness. No guarantee if that's the case, but that's what I'm going to go with. One of the things in here, do not enable table expiration. This means that it's not clearing historical data because you want that historical data to analyze over time. Okay, so we're going to leave that unchecked. Advanced options, expand. So we want it to use the Google managed encryption key. If we had other permissions going on, we might have a customer managed key, but we're just going to leave it as Google. Default collation disabled is fine. Create dataset. Okay, so then we get a data set here, which is going to contain our eventual tables. Okay, so that is all we need for BigQuery right now. Not too bad so far. Next, we have to enable billing export. Okay, so we enabled the API, we created the data set. Now we want to actually tie our account to export to this database or this data set, sorry. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the billing export page now. And we want the billing account for your credits. So I picked billing account for education. I assume yours is going to be named that as well. Any project that is tied to this billing account will be brought in. So if you have 10 projects and they're all tied to this account, you should be getting exported data for every single project that you have, which is good. Okay. So we are going to see standard usage cost being exported. We're going to see detailed usage cost exported. Pricing is disabled. That's something I was talking about for projected or pricing changes or something like that. Okay, so for big data export queries, we're going to edit our settings and we want to export basically everything. So I'm going to, oops, sorry, I want this project. It's going to go to, where is my data set? Cloud Billing 2. There we go. Cloud Billing. Just making sure that we have the right project and the right data set selected because this is where it's going to. Okay. So we have that, and then our detailed costs, we're also going to put in there, Cloud Billing 2, all billing data. It's already pre-populated here, which is good. Okay, make sure that I am not missing something here. We clicked save already, so that is good. All right. Now we are basically sending all data out there. We could disable particular things in there if we wanted to, but we are not going to do that. Our permissions should already be set based on the service account that's created by default for this. And then we see limitations, frequency, and that's pretty much it for setup, which is good, not too bad. All right, so now if we were to go over to our cloud billing here, and if we refresh, I should see data tables pop up. So cloud billing, all cloud billing. Maybe it's not created quite yet. We should see a couple of data tables pop up underneath this data set. So let me pop over to my account, which already exists, and we see cloud billing, all billing data, and here are my two exported data tables there. I'm going to go ahead and create a sample query. So I would honestly recommend reading through all of these particular pages here, but they give you some example queries for billing. So I'm going to copy one of them, and this is just going to give me an overview month to month of my billing usage. Somehow managed to bite my tongue there while I was talking. Um, so I'm going to grab this statement basically. This is just looking at, again, the total cost per month. You can see it is very SQL-like here. If you're an SQL expert, you might notice some minor differences, but it should feel very familiar. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and query this table. And let's do this in a new tab. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and drop this query in here. I'm going to copy my data set and my table name, get rid of this code which has missing data now, and drop the table name in the placeholder. Okay, so again, I didn't do anything fancy here. Grab this query over here, plopped it over here, and grabbed the table name from the pre-populated query. It's basically your project ID dot your dataset ID dot your table name. If I were to run this, I get some information that nothing has really been used this month. I've pretty much fallen under the free tier for everything. Let's look at my other table. Let's see what we've got going on here. I haven't looked at this in a few days, so if there is data in here, that would be neat. If not, that's also neat, I suppose. But I'm going to go ahead and run this. Run the same query, and again, we see 0. So I am not doing anything to drain my account. You would see something like this if you were accruing credit usage. Okay. But again, this code lab running through it will kind of give you a hand with understanding the different queries and how to do it. Let me maximize this so it looks like it's actually viewable. But hopefully that kind of gives you an idea for what is feasible in here. So again, at this point, you should have billing export set up. In a couple of days, you should start seeing information pop up. At this early point in the semester, you're probably not, again, accruing any costs, but you will start seeing data pop in there eventually. So hope this was helpful. I'll see you in the next video. Bye, everybody.